Hello everyone, this is a tutorial for Python power electronics. I'll be showing how can one simulate their power electronic circuits using Python power electronics, which is an open source software. Now the reason for choosing an open source software could be different for everyone, but my simple reason was not to be dependent on proprietary softwares, as it might cost you lakhs together for its licenses. Okay, so before getting started with the Python power electronics, you also need something called as Anaconda software. So Anaconda is a Python distribution package software, and it lets you have your own environment where you can separately install different softwares without uh, getting it across other environments. So you can have two different environments, and both the environments could have two different versions of software, and both the environments can have two different projects which would run on those particular softwares, and yet there won't be any uh, problems regarding the project management. So if you wouldn't use Anaconda, you will only have to uninstall and reinstall different Python packages, the versions again and again. But this lets you have environments where you can install number of times, how many ever number of times you want. You can, for more purposes, you can actually spend some time on this web page. This is the web page for Anaconda, official web page for Anaconda, and it has packages for everything. You can spend some time here. So after having downloaded the software, you can go to your downloads, double click on the installer, and just go on installing the software. Okay, as I've already done it, I'll just skip it now, and you must not have any problem in installing it. After successfully installing it, just go to your start menu and search for Anaconda PowerShell prompt. Now this is something which you use to create your environments, create your projects, install related Python packages. So this is your control panel, and this is from where you can export your environments also. So it is pretty important, but there's nothing to worry if you have no previous experience in command line. You can always take help of the documentation which Anaconda has. So just Google for manage environments, and you'll get pretty much all the documentation you need. So the first thing we would do is creating an environment. Just copy paste this. Okay, so it is used to create an environment, but before creating an environment, let me show you how do we view what environments are available to us. So there's a command called conda info envs. So I'm asking Anaconda to give me information about whatever environments do we have. So this base environment is always uh, pre-created, and this is where the Anaconda operates from. So you shouldn't ever try to edit that. Now I have two more environments, but let me show you how to create another environment. Just paste that, and this tells me like this command could be read as I'm asking Conda to create an environment with the name. So you give your name here, so I'll name it test2. It takes some time, and it asks me to type y if you want to proceed, and n if I don't want to proceed, we'll type y. Fine. So the environment has been created. Now in the introduction part, I was telling you something sorry, like a couple of moments before, I was telling you something about the environment packages, the packages you can install in environment without affecting the other environment. So let me show you what do I mean by. So if I check for the Python version in which is installed in the base environment, I'll get an answer called 3.7.6. Fine. Let me go to my new environment called test2. So in order to activate it, you just have to write conda activate test2. Okay. Now you are in your environment test2. Now let me show you what Python version do I have installed here. So this says that the term Python is not recognized as the name of the commandlet function script file blah 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 is not, like, it is not available. So the Python version has not been installed in the environment called test2. So though it is in the same laptop, though it shares the same memory, but it bifurcates this environment from the base environment. So if suppose you have a project which only supports Python 2.7.6, so you can take your base environment and just install Python 2.7.6 and you can work in that. And if you have another project which just supports Python 3.7.6, you can install that in some other environment. So in the same laptop, in the same memory, you can have two or more different versions of Python packages installed and running perfectly fine. So if all this wasn't there, what would you have done? You could have you should have uh, install the Python packages multiple times. So you must have to install the different versions of Python multiple times, uninstall it again and install it whenever you need some other version. So it would have been very cumbersome. So this solves most of that problem. So you use clear to clear all the command line prompts. Now I would suggest you there's an so after having created an environment, how do you remove an environment? So if you do not know the command lines or the commands in regarding those, you can always Google it or you can use the documentation. It is that simple. So I'll try to remove my environment which I have created, that is test2. Okay. Okay, so this tells me that I cannot remove the environment being activated in that environment. So first I have to deactivate my test2. So I deactivate it. I'm sorry. Okay, I forgot using conda deactivate. Okay, so conda deactivate test2. So I've returned back to my base environment. Now I would remove this. After having typed this, conda remove environment by the name test2. So it says all the packages in the environment this are removed. So let us check whether it has removed or not. So to check your environment information, you can always type conda info test2. Okay. See, when I asked the information about test2, it couldn't give me because it was an error, because the real command was I want an information about whatever environments do I have, and in this I do not have an environment called test2. That means the environment test2 has been successfully removed. So getting used to the command line uh, could be a little difficult, but it would really make your life way easier if you use Anaconda. So after having learned few of the commands on Anaconda command prompt, we'll go on to installing Python Power Electronics now. So just Google Python Power Electronics and you'll come to this uh, web page. This is an official web page, and you can install. So there are two versions actually. One is the web app version, another is the command line version. Command line version could be a little complex, so we'll start with our web app version, which is web application. We'll install the latest 4.3 point something, whatever version. So this might be updated for you. So as of today it is 4.3.0, so I'll install this. And there are two kinds of files, one is zip file and one is tar.gz. Linux and Windows according to your own OS. So I'm downloading my Windows file. Okay, so as I had already downloaded it, but I'm downloading it to show you how to install this. Fine. So let us create a new file or new folder called simulations. You can choose any directory. Okay, I'll extract this to the simulations. Fine. After having extracted to the simulations, let us see what do we have here. So there are two files. So one is in simulator interface, another one is requirements. So I'll get to simulator interface later. So let us look at the requirements. So these are the requirements for the package requirements for Python Power Electronics. So in your environment, you will have to individually or cumulatively install all these packages. So let us get started with installing the packages and forming a new environment. Okay, so I'm in my base environment. Let me see what environments do I have. So conda info envs. So it gives me information about other environments. Now let me create another environment called conda create name. So I want the environment name to be Python or Power Electronic Python. Let's choose a short name. So it asks me whether to proceed or not. I type 5. I've proceeded. So let me activate it. So conda activate the environment of 5. So I've activated it now. Let me clear the rest. Fine. So let us go to a directory. I'll rename this as simulator. Okay. Okay. Wait. Simulator. Fine. Let me create a new folder called simulations. So this is where we'll be running our simulations from. Fine. So let me go to my environment. Now let us change the directory. So cd is used for changing the directory. Let me see what all do I have. List of directories I have. So it is this. Now let me change the directory. So I'm using tab here. So the tab button helps you a lot. So to change the directory, what you can do is go to your files, copy this directory, paste it. So you are in this directory. Now we have all the files and folders here, so you can change your directory to simulator. Okay, let me clear everything. Let me see what all I have in the simulator. So I have the PP version. Now, what do I have in this? I have a simulation interface and requirements text. Okay. Now, as I told you, that we'll have to install few of the requirements, few of the softwares mentioned in the requirements file. For that, we can either install it individually, which would take much time because you'll have to again write all the uh, software names one by one. Other than that, you can actually install everything at a time. So this is a command called conda install whatever is there in this file, and the file's name is requirements.txt. So this would take some time. Okay, so this is installing everything which was supposed to be installed. Asks me whether or not to install. Clicked yes, and yes, you need internet connection to actually simulate power electronic circuits, as it uses an Django server and web app. So it would take some time depending upon how your internet speed is. Let us wait until it totally installs all the packages. So now, after having installed all the packages, we have another task to do. So once you observe in the simulator file, you have simulator interface and you have something called simulations. Fine. So this has the circuit schematics, or the basic circuit schematics, or the circuit databases in it, which we have to use. So in order to use that, what we do is actually get inside the file. So I'm changing my directory further into the interface. Let us see what is there in simulator interfaces. So there's something called manage.py. So this manage.py is typically a launch file. So as there's launch file for any app, so there's a launch file, and we'll have to manipulate the launch file before we start the simulation, or before starting the simulation for the first time. So this is the first time we are installing it, so you'll have to manipulate it, or you have to uh, install, or you have to upload some of the simulations to the database, because the Django uses databases. So whatever simulations we have, we do not use it, it uploads to the database, and to create that database we need to use this command, and this command has to be used to manage.py because it is a launch file. So from here on, whatever I'd be doing would be doing to the manage.py. So I'm saying manage.py make migrations to simulations. Okay, so here I had encountered an error called no installed app with label simulations. So actually I was trying to migrate the simulations using manage.py. I shouldn't have referred to the directory. So now look at here. So it has migrated circuit plot, circuit schematics, control files, voltmeter, voltage source. So all the database has been created now. Whatever you might require, thyristor, switch, resistor, plot lines, and all that. Fine. So the last step here would be to simply migrate it. So use the command python manage.py, because manage.py is a launch file, so everything would be with respect to manage.py, and migrate. So now we have successfully migrated it. So now let us launch our Python Power Electronics. For that, use this command python manage.py run server. Now you would get a link here. Copy. So now you have got a link here. Fine. So copy paste this into your browser, and this is your Python Power Electronic web app. So whatever previously we have done, that was the one-time setup for Python Power Electronics. So you do not have to do it again and again. So whenever you want to launch your Python Power Electronics, what you can do is you can go to your anaconda uh, prompt shell. Okay. So you have the environment base activated. Let us ask for the info of other environments. So if you remember, conda info envs gives you the other environments. Okay. Now be very careful. We have actually I had made an environment called POWPY, called Power Electronics Python, and in this environment I have installed all the packages related to Power Electronics Python. Okay, so I'll have to first get to this environment. So how do I get to this environment? I have to activate it. So conda activate POWPY. Now our environment is activated. Now we need to get to the folder where we have installed our, or where we have extracted our Python Power Electronics. So to change the directory, you can always use cd, and to get to that folder, what you can do is you can actually copy paste the location into the PowerShell after cd. Okay, if you do this, you are into the simulator now. So let us look at what is there in simulator. We have pp web app. Now get inside the web app. In order to do that, I'll type cd, then I'll type tab. So after pressing tab, I'll get the possible options for changing the directory. So there is only one directory, that is pp web app, and that is where we have to go. Now let us see what is there inside this. There is a simulator interface. Get inside the simulator interface. Now let us check what is in here. Here we get the file manage.py. So always remember, manage.py is the launch file, and we have to use that to launch our Python Power Electronics. So let us use the launch file. Okay, and type run server. So this command says that I want to run my launch file into the server. Now this will give me a link which I have to copy paste into my browser, and you get your Python Power Electronics.